What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be deploying a Sveltekit application to Render, an awesome platform as a service provider who has some pretty sweet features. And this video is not sponsored by Render. I just really like their platform, and it's how I've been deploying my Sveltekit applications. So one last thing before we get started. I recorded this video earlier this morning when I had just woken up, and I've been having some pretty bad allergies, so my voice is a little raspy, but I think that the tutorial is pretty solid, and let me know what you think. So let's get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and install a couple node modules so that we can go ahead and get our application deployed to Render. All right, so here we have our Jeopardy application that is less of an application and more of just a web page, but it is using Sveltekit. And if you'd like to see how we created this, I will link the video above, so check that out. But for now, we've got our JavaScript application, our JavaScript trivia application, and what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and get started with, let me just kill that application. We are going to do npm install at svelte.js/ and let me just make sure I get this right, adapter node at next. And this at next symbol is pretty important because you want the latest and greatest version of the adapter or you're going to get errors. So we'll go ahead and install that. Then we're going to go ahead and go down to our Svelte config, and here we use the auto adapter, which is great for local development, but I am going to go ahead and comment all of that out and drop in the config for my node adapter. So go ahead and drop this in here, and what this is going to do is it's going to import node from our node adapter, set up some settings for node, and this will essentially take all of our Sveltekit functionality, package it together, and deploy it as a Node.js server on Render. So with that done, we've got the first step out of the way. The next thing we're going to need is we're going to need our render file, our render.yaml file. So we'll create a new file in the root of the project called render.yml. And actually, let me go ahead and just zoom in. I believe it's control. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Control plus. And let me hide my terminal. All right, so that's a little better. I know that I had a couple people comment on the font size in my last video. So again, importing node from adapter node, setting up some config. This is mostly boilerplate. And then in our render YAML, we're going to have a little more boilerplate, but it's good to remember this. So we're going to set up our service. It's going to be a web service. Its name is going to be Sveltekit. That's just what I go with. Environment's going to be node. This is important because it matches up with our adapter. Build command is going to be npm install and npm run build. And then our start command is going to be node build/index.js. So what this is going to do is it's going to tell render, hey, run npm install to install my dependencies, then run build to build my Sveltekit application, and then go into the build directory and serve my index.js file. So now that we've got that saved, we are going to go ahead and go back here and go to render, and I'm already on my render dashboard. If you need to create an account, go ahead. It's totally free, which is awesome. You can see I've already deployed the Halo 3 menus that we coded up here. You can see the link above. So we're going to go ahead and go new web service, and it already has access to my GitHub. So I believe I have this set as Jeopardy trivia. And make sure that you check in your changes. So let's go back to here, and I'm just going to getting on render. So make sure you check in your changes to your GitHub repository with these files, this svelte config change and this render.yaml change, before you before you do this. So I'm going to call this Jeopardy YT. It's going to be Node. I'm going to choose Oregon, USA, and they only have 2 regions right now that are available, Germany and Oregon. This does not affect my response times on my other render services that I've tried, so don't worry if you're not closer to Oregon. It works pretty quick. Branch is going to be master. Build command, we're going to switch this back to npm install, and you can see I've already done it, and double ampersand npm run build to match our YAML file, and then we're going to set our start command to node build index.js. And then you have your plans. If this is a production application, maybe you want to go pro, maybe you want to do standard and pro plus if you need a lot of memory and CPU, but this is going to be free. I don't need much memory. I can share my CPU. $0 per month is pretty attractive to me, and we are going to go ahead and create our web service. So you can see now the output logs from the deployment process, and it is just cloning our repo. It's running our build command. V is doing its thing on the back end, which is pretty cool. And then it's actually generating a container image. So everything on render is containerized, which is pretty cool. And you can see here we do have our link that it's going to be deployed to once it's finished. And as it says, this may take a few minutes, so I may fast forward this part of the video, but usually doesn't take that long for a simple application like this, so we'll just wait and see what happens. I've been a little under the weather, so you're gonna have to excuse my raspiness. It's just my allergies have been going crazy recently. And you can actually make this larger, so let's pull up full screen. I also want to take this time to thank the team at Render for helping me out with this. The first time I tried to deploy a Sveltekit application, something was going wrong and it wasn't working. Turns out it was just on my end. I was doing something wrong. They've got some great documentation that I'll link below if you'd rather read how to do this. However, I wanted to show how to do this in an already existing project because their documentation is for if you clone from their starter project. So if you are thinking about using Render and you don't want to do any of this configuration, you can actually just go ahead and clone their starter project on GitHub, which is linked in the documentation on their site, and it'll be ready to go for Render out of the box. So you can see our build is successful, which is great, and now it's deploying. So any minute now, we are going to have our Jeopardy app on the web live, and anyone can do or anyone can use it. All right, so started service, it is listening. So let's go ahead and minimize this. And if I click on this, nothing happened. And refresh, and there it is. All right, so we have our trivia app. It's live on the web, and that's all it takes to deploy to Render for free. Render's got some great features. I'm going to do a whole separate video on why I've been enjoying using Render, and I'll also do a video on some of their competitors like Netlify and Heroku, because I've used everything under the sun, and right now I feel pretty good on Render. So, and this video is not sponsored in any way. I'd like to point that out. I will add a disclaimer in the description, but Render is not paying me to say these things. I just really like their service. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this quick video. I wanted to get it out so that you could see that you have options to get your Sveltekit applications on the web. Anyway, until next time, I hope you have a good one, and cheers.